Hey everybody, it's been a while since I've had a chance to talk to you all. Quick blog update, which will get us through Halloween and then beyond, but that probably captures your attention right off the bat there. We've been hinting about this since, I think, June. And it's taken a while to get some of the data. There's still a couple pieces I wish I had for this forecast that I'm not going to get in time, but that's all right. I think I got enough to have a general idea. I mean, this isn't, forecast in the winter, you guys know, it is a huge challenge anywhere, but especially in wave country. It's extremely difficult because there's so many factors that come into play, and a lot of them don't even show up within, in some cases, 3 to 4 days before they happen. And so to try to forecast 3 months out, well, that's a challenge. But it's always fun. It's just fun to do, and you guys that are weather enthusiasts, you know that it's fun. You like to see what the data shows, and what if one of these times we really lock on to really good signals that can really tell us what the winter will be like, and if we see that identifier show up, that will help us in the future. So we're getting there. We're a lot better than we used to be. So this is the reason why we do it. Always got to test our skills, even as meteorologists. But when we go up against the chaos theory, it's never easy. Anyway, I'm not enough rambling. I'm sure y'all missed that. The winter forecast, I will make sure to have it published online at 9 o'clock Halloween night. I want to give you some time to get some candy, and then you come back in. All right, so let's talk about what's the setup here for Halloween. First off, today we've got one area of low pressure that's allowing our cool winds here today. It's given us the cool weather we've seen, quiet weather overall. Our problem is not really up here. Our problem is two pieces of energy moving in to the northwest, one here and one here. Now, for the past week, the models have indicated that when this low moves out, it will combine with this low pressure, and then you get a much more organized area of rainfall that moves through. But the trend the past 24 hours especially is to keep this piece up here, this piece kind of stays to the south, and there's a gap that forms in the middle of the two, which would take it right across wave country. We see this a lot in the wintertime, don't we? So that's the growing trend, and because it is a very common thing that happens, I'm leaning toward that idea, and a lot of us have been. And the models are trending that way too. It's a very common theme to have a low pressure that will hug more of the Gulf moisture, and it really starves the boundary. I mean, this one will have some lift, better support to produce clouds and rain, in some cases snow to our north. And this will have the Gulf moisture to feed on. But because it's still in the show, basically, the middle gets strained, and there's not a lot of potential for moisture and showers to break out in between the two. And that's why the rain chance is not that impressive for Halloween night, but it isn't zero either. But you can see what's happening. The jet is really pumping in here across the northwest, and we're likely going to see systems come into the northwest and dig, and dig, and dig. And as that happens, it is going to pump in the ridge over the eastern half of the country, and that is going to make things exciting for those of you that do not like snow. Let's get through Halloween. Saturday, we start off with clouds rolling in quickly by midday. Mainly cloudy, temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60s, spread into Keeneland and Lexington for the Breeders' Cup. Dress for cooler weather than what we're showing, because clouds can add a little bit of a coolness to the air. Best chance for any rainfall, I think, Friday night and early Saturday is going to be in this area. Owensboro through maybe Jasper and Bedford. You guys are in that zone where you're in that maybe during the day, Saturday. And that could be as early as sunrise on Saturday, by the way. Then as we get to Saturday night, we begin to get in between the two systems here that I was just referring to. And you see it's not a solid band of rain. It's broken showers and light rain by late evening Halloween night. So if you're going to be one of those partiers that's going to be out late, keep in mind your costume may get wet. For the young ones, trick-or-treating early is better. Right at sunset and get back inside, and I think you'll be all right. And then after that, showers in southern Kentucky. But I think Sunday is trending mainly dry. The question is, are we going to clear out? We may see some thinning of clouds north of 64, but the clouds may hold tough over a good part of the Commonwealth the way it's looking. But I do think we have enough thinning to be a warmer day Sunday than we'll have on Saturday. So now let's look at the models. For those of you that have seen this before, you know what it is. If not, let me explain real quick. Here is what we call the deterministic models or operational models to the top. These are the ones that update about every 6 hours in most cases, sometimes every 12. They take in weather balloon data and adjust and throw out a scenario. The ones at the bottom are the ensembles. They take in a lot of different factors, and the model runs different math formulas and comes out with a mean or a median of an idea of what will happen. It smooths out all the wild possibilities and makes it a little more even kill when it comes to the actual outlook that could come down the road. So we have both of the GFS here. Here's the Euros, and here is the Canadian. Is how they are listed. This is Halloween night. You can see on Halloween, you see the system to the north, you see the tropical low to the south. The Euro really sees that low to the north, kind of sees the low to the south. It's not very impressive. And then the Canadian really sees the low to the north, but it sees the low way to the south. I mean, almost into the Gulf of Mexico is where the Canadian has that tropical low for Halloween night. So the the GFS is the only one that has them even somewhat close together. Otherwise, there's a decent break in between here and really a decent break here on the Canadian. The ensembles, again, generally shows the stronger low up to the north, and it generally does show the tropical low here across the south, although the Canadian ensemble is even further south, closer to southern Texas. So, in other words, the story that we're seeing here on the models is that even with the ensembles, there's a gap in between the low, like I was mentioning, and that helps support the forecast. Now, as we head into Monday, this is when we run into problems of rainfall lingering, because the northern system's already going to be gone. It's going to be way off the coast here. And the problem is the southern stream system. It's going to drift a little more north as it heads eastbound. And GFS has it over the Delmarva Peninsula as we head into Monday night. The Euro has it over the Carolinas, and the Canadian has it right over us. Same system, by the way, it had here in the Gulf. Takes it right into the Ohio Valley on Monday. Now, the ensembles, to help us out a little bit, do show some, has a decent amount of lower pressure showing up, but overall, it's a very weak low pressure that is showing up. In fact, the Canadian ensemble is not even matching the reality of its deterministic run. So this is looking already like an error. So we can rule that out. This here is possible, a weakness in the Carolinas, and that would not be too far off from the GFS. And the GFS ensemble is close, but not exactly matching the deterministic. So in this case, the Euro seems to be the winner here by looking at the operational deterministic model, and then looking at the ensemble, they seem to match better. So the Euro is the best way to go. So we'll go a cloud cover, maybe a shower in southern Kentucky, but drying things out on Monday. Hope you got all that. Welcome to science lesson. All right, and then as we head into later next week, now we lose the operational Canadian. It doesn't go that far out. But we really get a strong southwest flow wrapping around this high pressure. Not as strong in the Canadian. Now, the ensembles show us getting into the action here. This, again, will be Thursday. And the ensembles on the Euro, not as dramatic, but they are on the Canadian. Canadian does have an ensemble that goes out. Either way, it does look like quite the warming trend. Now, I think that the GFS is going to end up being right here. I think this high is going to be pretty pronounced, and I do think this trough is going to be much more pronounced when it's showing up on the models. You're seeing hints of that on the European ensemble, and I think tomorrow when we look at that, it's going to be even more dramatic, and I think we're going to see this ridge be sharper. So we want higher than the models are even telling us. We're going with 80 by next Thursday. Based on what usually happens in these scenarios, these troughs, I can see it digging in, and I can really see that pumping in warm air. Could be wrong, but that's what we're going to lean toward. Then as we head toward next weekend, the GFS is showing a weak trough moving through with some rainfall. The European model is slower with this idea. It does have a front to our north, but it's slower with the main low, so it delays the rain until maybe Sunday or Monday next weekend, versus the GFS says it's going to be raining by Friday or Saturday. The ensembles don't really shed a whole lot of light. They do back up each other's own deterministic model, so there's not a whole lot of support here. We just have to pick one we think is most likely. Considering that the Canadian ensemble looks a little more like the Euro, I think the slower idea that the Euro has is most likely, because it has at least one other member I can look at for support. So we're going with the slower idea for rainfall next weekend. So we're going to delay it until the end of the weekend next weekend for showers and thunderstorms. Okay. Then we get in toward the CFS model, which is a long-range model. I'm going to briefly show these from our friends over at Weather Analytics. This is toward Thanksgiving, showing a warm period in the east, colder than normal in the west. And then we hit December 1st, and it shows a cold snap moving in. That's the only cold snap I see really between now and that period moving into the area. But is that going to log in? Is that it? Is that going to be the flip into winter? Well, for that answer, you're going to have to wait until Halloween night to see the winter outlook, because this is where I start my discussion on how things are going to play out. So stay tuned. All right, guys, that's enough for now. We'll take a look at Halloween again and see how it looks for tomorrow. when I'm back in here. I'll see you on the 7 o'clock news, 7:30 news tonight, and Kevin will be back again, of course, at 11. Have a good one.